Hey, welcome to another episode of the Bitter to Better podcast. Disclaimer, my 5-year-old is running around and may interrupt. If that happens, I will stop recording most likely and edit it out, or maybe not, depending on what it is. But this is what you get on the Bitter to Better podcast. So in the vein of me getting this podcast back up and running, I've told myself I'm just going to hit record on my computer and get into these episodes. So today's episode is about social event buckets, which I will explain, but this is in the realm of dating. So you probably hear him in the background now. This is in the realm of dating. This goes into things around like dating pools. So there is an episode that I will link in the show notes that I've already done around cesspools versus infinity pools. So this is about the quality of your dating. So that episode, the cesspools, infinity pools episode, is about the quality of your dating pools. You can have dating pools that are too small, that are too limited, that don't have the people in them that match your ideal partner, all of that. So that episode is related a little bit to this, but this episode, Social Event Buckets, is more about just concrete advice and ideas around what to do socially in order to meet people who could be potential dating partners. I imagine it will be a pretty short episode because it's kind of straight to the point of just getting to some ideas. But I guess I'll start with just kind of the philosophy around socializing and meeting people in terms of increasing the likelihood of you coming into contact with men to date. So this is one of the biggest reasons why I encourage online dating, because I'm not recommending that online dating be the only way you date, but I am highly recommending that it be one of the ways you date, because it can be a semi-passive way to be meeting people. And I say semi-passive because you do need to be on the apps actually using them and engaging with people to have them be effective. But also by having a profile and just making sure you go on there every now and then, you have this thing running in the background where people can DM you, they can message you, and you have this directory of people to choose from. And speaking of dating apps being a directory, I have an episode on how to effectively use dating apps. I will probably link that one as well, because it is very important to understand that dating apps are almost like a phone book to be able to meet people and see who exist. And then you have to actually go out and date them. That means getting off the app and going in person, which relates to some of what I'm saying here, which is being social and going out and physically meeting people. So I just pretty much want to talk about the idea that, and in the background, you're probably hearing my fiance hanging up a picture that I have asked him to hang up. And I joked and told him that I would come on the podcast and talk about how I need to release control, and I don't like it because I'm having him hang it up without me being there to let him know if it's in the exact perfect place. But I will just have to deal with that later. Anyway, see, this is what happens when I just press play. The idea, what's important when it comes to your, increasing the likelihood of being able to meet guys is you want to kind of be, you want to have a variety of things that you are doing or engaging in order to open up the opportunity to meet people. Because for instance, in this day and age, the average adult can live a pretty limited lifestyle in terms of opportunities to meet new people. Many people work from home, and you can do just about everything you need to do from home. So that means you can be working from home, homeschooling your kids, banking from home, getting groceries delivered, doing mail services from home, you name it. If you wanted to live a fully insular life, you really could. And so the average adult, when you think about where they are frequenting, they are at their house. If they are a parent, they maybe are taking their kids to school, maybe dropping them off in the car pickup and drop off lane. So not necessarily getting a whole bunch of interaction with other parents. They are maybe going to the grocery store. A lot of people aren't physically going into a bank. You have to actually very intentionally get yourself out into the world. So these are just some suggestions for doing that. But that means that the perfect guy for you isn't just going to magically appear. And as I always say to people, if a man walked up to your front door, rang the doorbell, and said, I'm here, I'm your perfect guy, the guy for you would probably call the police, because that'd be a little creepy, wouldn't it? So my point is, he's not magically going to just appear and walk to your door. You need to get out, whether that's first looking at apps and then going out on dates, or that's getting out and just socializing. You need to do that in order to meet people. So the things I'm going to mention are not just date specific necessarily, or dating specific. They are just ways to get out and meet people and have a good time. So think about it as having these different buckets for socializing, and try to fill as many of those buckets up as possible in your life. So we do have just dates, meaning you go on apps, or you maybe, meet somebody in person, IRL, and you decide to schedule a date. So that's one way of socializing. And obviously that is very specifically related to building a romantic relationship. So you're getting to know the person and all of that. But there's a bunch of other things. There is just going out and running errands, doing your day-to-day stuff. So going to the grocery store or going to the tailor or whatever, but physically getting out in the world where you come in contact with other human beings. That being said, it's wonderful when there's a nice meet cute that happens from a situation like that, but you can't bet on meeting someone in that way. It can happen, but the numbers are not necessarily in your favor. Then there's like more formal events, like business or networking events. Those can be great. Those I highly recommend people actively seek out and attend, because networking events are literally for meeting other people. And yes, they may be related to business, but that by no means stops people from being able to make friendships and connections and maybe potential romantic relationships. So I'm a big fan of a good networking event. And you can also be thinking about the profile of your ideal partner, like what they are like. So if you are interested in a person who is a professional, has a career, then networking events are going to be a very good place for you to go. And by way of it being a networking event, people are expecting that they're going to talk to strangers. So it helps reduce some of that friction of talking to someone you don't know, because this event is literally for talking to people you don't know. So networking events are great. Then there's, the typical things of like going to a bar or a lounge or a club where you're going out to just purely, for fun and personal reasons. Also great places to talk to people, because the expectation for a lot of places like this is that you're going to socialize and you're going to chat with people. Now, granted, different bars, clubs, lounges have different vibes. So identifying the ones that are intended to be particularly social is very helpful. I like to think of sports bars are a big one for that. And this is a little side note where I talk with women about going to the places that they are likely to meet men. So for example, when you want to go to the really cute brunch spot, that is wonderful. But you are less likely to meet a single man there, because a man is less likely to be at that spot, or if he is there, he's with a woman, his date, his wife, whoever. The brunch place is where you go after you have the guy who you're going to go on a date with, who's going to take you out. But a sports bar is where you're likely to go find the guy who's single. Now, this is not me saying don't go out to brunch spots and only go to sports bars, but this is me saying vary it up a little bit. Help expand and diversify that dating pool of yours. So sometimes you go to a brunch spot with your girls, but another time you go to a sports bar with your girls and go and have a good time there. And speaking as a woman who's not into sports or beer, I understand that I'm not necessarily doing it because it's my favorite place to be, but it does open up my options to meeting a guy, right? And so what I'm getting at here is diversifying and adding variety to your social, the places you socialize in, your dating pools. So a bar, a lounge, a club, definitely good options. But just like with the dating apps, I do not recommend they be your only options. I don't. If you are dating with intention to find a committed partner, you don't want bars and clubs to be your only places. And this is not because serious people who want serious relationships don't go to these places, but it is because they also are places that attract people who are just looking for hookups. And So, and that is fine if you are looking for a hookup. But if you're looking for a serious relationship, you want to add variety to the places that you frequent. And so then there's just like house parties, cookouts, gatherings at someone's home. So this is where you're oftentimes doing more of a meeting. Someone you meet at these events are likely going to be a friend of a friend or, something like that. So there's a little bit of social vetting that has already occurred in these situations where, because they're invited to a person's home, a more intimate personal gathering, there's likely some amount of like, oh, this person, we're okay with them going on. Now, I want to be very clear. That does not mean that the person isn't an asshole or something like that when it comes to being in a relationship. A friend could have invited their friend and they brought their cousin who's visiting in town who's visiting or something. But there is this level of where we all have some sort of connection. And so, this person has been invited or they are allowed to come or they are welcomed here, right? So this is also a good thing to do, like go to that event and who knows who you meet, who knows what connections you make. Also, because if you go out socially, not just for the purpose of meeting a guy to date, you never know what friendships or business relationships develop, or someone you meet who down the road you need their service or need a favor. So this is just helpful for generally expanding your social network. Then there are things like festivals or pop-ups, things that are intended to be fun, enjoyable things to do. And the benefit of doing something like this is that you're generally doing it also because you just enjoy the thing. You want to go to the food festival. You want to go to this pop-up. I would also put things like concerts, music performances here, where it's like you're going because it's a thing you're interested in. You're interested in seeing that musical performance. So the upside of this is that it's not just about meeting someone. You're going, like if you go, you're likely just going to have a good time and enjoy yourself. But also you might socialize with some people and meet some cool people. And so when it comes to like festivals, concerts, gatherings at people's homes, stuff like that, even bars and stuff, a great time for this is what I call dating season, which is about May through September, particularly because I live in the Northeast. So that's when the weather's nice. It's easier to get out. And all these festivals and things are happening. Or I think of like there's an open air bar near me where like when the weather's nice, people are out there playing cornhole and like there's music and stuff. And so it caters to being a very social place. And so these are like great time, so dating season, as I call it, is a great time to purposely seek out these type of places. Literally go online and, Google, food festivals near me, pop-ups near me, and see what comes up. And if any of them are of interest to you, you go. You go because you want to go because you're interested in that thing, but also you can meet some cool people. As a parent, as a mom, school events might be a place. You are going because you want to support the school. You want to help your child build social relationships. You also meet other parents. Now, I get that, again, just like with like bars and apps, I do not encourage school events to be your only way of socializing, because you're going to meet a lot of married men at these sort of things for sure. But you might also meet a divorcee. Okay, there's that. Or you might have friends or meet parent friends who have friends, right? And that's how you get invited to the gathering, the cookout, the gathering at their home, stuff like that. So you build these connections and one links to another, links to another. Again, this is about diversifying these social events. So school events can be a way of doing that. And then going along with the school thing, play dates. So specific, events where your children, you meet up with another family or parent so that your kids can play. So this would be like outside of school at the local playground or some sort of space for kids where you guys make it a point to bring the kids and play. And again, like the school events, this is where it can be highly likely that that the people involved are married or in a relationship. And a lot of times generally in our society, it's the moms putting these play dates together. So you're not actually, you're actually engaging with like another mom, but in making these connections and building upon them, this is how you get invited to, again, a gathering or a kid's birthday party. That's another option too, because at a kid's birthday party, right, you may have the family members of this child and you don't know if there's a single uncle, stuff like that. But also it serves the purpose of helping your kid to socialize and make connections. So there are added benefits to this. And that's my main point about this, is that most of these social events that I mentioned are not specific to romantic relationships or romantic connections. Besides like the dates, these are just to meet people, and you never know where those meetings lead you. So just to kind of give a quick recap, where we have actual dates, we have business or networking events, we have bars, clubs, lounges, we have house parties, cookouts, at-home gatherings, and dinners. We have festivals and concerts and pop-ups. We have school events, play dates, kids' birthday parties. All of those things are good options, and I'm sure there are more. If you have any more ideas, definitely put them in the comments on Spotify. And this was just a quick little recap, or a quick little list of places or events that you can do in order to really diversify your social buckets and your dating pool. Because it is possible that if you're struggling with dating, that you may have a bit of a dating pool issue. So you're just swimming in the wrong pools, or not enough pools, or the pools you're swimming in don't have enough people, or they don't have the people who are right for you. And so these are ways to help you diversify that. I forgot one, so I'm going to have to edit this in, which is like meetup groups. So groups that are intended purposely for socializing. They're not business related, but they're actually for social networking. They are to do activities and tasks with people who you don't know, but what you have in common is an interest in that thing. It could be tennis, it could be hiking, it could be bowling, it could be anything you can think of. It could be sightseeing in the city, stuff like that. I've done a meetup groups way in the past, probably when Meetup was pretty new. Loved it, and made connections outside of it. But I love things like meetups because, again, it reduces some of that friction of meeting new people and talking to strangers. Because the idea is, we don't necessarily know each other, but we're here for a common thing. So we can talk about that and get to know each other around that. And it's expected that you're going to say hi and hello and talk to, someone you don't know, because that's what we're all here for. So meetups are a great thing. Also apps like Peanut. The Peanut app is for mothers to meet. But there are all sorts of apps. There's, Bumble BFF to meet friends. But apps that are not just for dating, but apps that are for just meeting people. And oftentimes certain groups of people, like moms and things like that. So also don't sleep on these sort of things. And I've had a number of clients who have used the Peanut app. Again, just things to add in order to diversify your social interactions and your social buckets.